Glossary of the Elements of Anatomy and Physiology. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Larry Wilson. The Elements of Anatomy and Physiology by William Rauschenberger. Glossary A through C. Abdomen. From the Latin abdere, to conceal. The belly. The chief viscera contained in the abdomen are the stomach, intestines, liver, etc. Absorption. From the Latin absorbere, to suck up. The function of absorbent vessel, by virtue of which they take up substances from without or within the body. Acetabulum. From the Latin acetum, vinegar. From its resemblance to the ancient Greek vinegar vessel called oxybaphon. See Cotyloid. Acoustic. From the Greek akouo, I listen. Relating to sounds. Acromion. From the Greek akros, extreme, and amos, the shoulder. The superior prominence of the scapula that joins to the clavicle, forming the bony point of the shoulder. Adult. One arrived at maturity, full grown. Aliment. From the Latin alimentum, which is formed from alere, to nourish. Any substance which, if introduced into the system, is capable of nourishing it and repairing its losses. Food. Alveolus. Latin. The hole in which a tooth is placed. Alveoli. Plural of alveolus. Sockets of the teeth. Anatomy. From the Greek ana, through, and temno, I cut. The description of the structure of animals. The word anatomy properly signifies dissection, but it has been appropriated to the study and knowledge of the number, shape, situation, structure, and connection, in a word, of all the apparent properties of organized matter, whether animal or vegetable. Anatomical. Relating or belonging to anatomy. Analogous. From the Greek ana, between, and logos, reason. Having some resemblance or relation, though differing in essential particulars. Similar. Analysis. From the Greek analuo, I dissolve. The separation of bodies into their component parts. Anfractuosity. From the Latin anfractus, the bending or winding of a way, in or out. A groove or furrow based in anatomy to signify sinuous depressions, of greater or less depth, like those that separate the convolutions of the brain. Animal. From the Latin animalis, a name given to every animated being provided with digestive organs. Animalcule. From the Latin animalcula, a diminutive animal. Animalcula. Plural of animalculum. Animals that are only perceptible by means of the microscope. Annelides. A class of animals without vertebrae. Anus. Latin. The fundament, the inferior opening of the bowels. Aorta. From the Greek aorte, a vessel. The great artery which arises from the left ventricle of the heart, and conveys the blood to all parts of the body. Aortic. Relating to the aorta. Aponeuroses. From the Greek apo, from, and neuron, a nerve. The ancients called every white part neuron. Membranous expansions of muscles and the tendons are so called. Apophysis. From the Greek apo, from, and phuo, I rise. An eminence or process of bone. Apparatus. Latin ad, for, and pare, to prepare. A collection of instruments or organs for any operation whatever. An assemblage of organs. Appendix. Latin ad, to, and pendere, to hang. Something added. Any part that adheres to an organ, or is continuous with it. Arachnides. From the Greek arachne, a spider. Insects of the genus of spiders. Arachnoid. From the Greek, arachne, a spider's web, and eidos, resemblance. A thin, transparent membrane which covers the brain. Artery. From the Greek, arteria, formed according to some. From aer, air, and terrein, to preserve, because it was anciently believed that the arteries were filled with air, like the windpipe. The vessels which convey blood from the heart to all parts of the body are called arteries. Arteriole. Belonging or relating to an artery. Articulate. From the Latin, articulus, which is the diminutive of artus, a limb, which is derived from the Greek erthron, a joint. To join or joint. To form words, to utter. Articulation. A joint. Asphyxia. From the Greek a, privative, and sphyxis, pulse. Suspended animation. Asphyxiate. In a state of suspended animation. Astragalus. Name of the bone of the foot which articulates with the tibia in the ankle joint. Astronomy. From the Greek astron, a star, and nomos, law. The natural history of the heavenly bodies. Atmosphere. From the Greek atmos, vapor, and sphaira, a sphere or globe. The air which surrounds the earth. Auditorius. Latin. Belonging or relating to the sense of hearing. Auricle. From the Latin, auricula, which is the diminutive of auris, an ear. The two auricles of the heart derive the name from their resemblance to ears. Auricular ventricular. Relating or belonging both to an auricle and ventricle. Automatic. From the Greek, automatus, self-moved, spontaneous, which is formed from autos, himself, and mao, I desire. Automatic movements are those which depend on the structure of the body and are independent of the will, such as that of respiration, the circulation of the blood, etc. Axillary. From the Latin, axilla, the armpit. Belonging or relating to the armpit. Azote. From the Greek, a, privative, and zoe, life, without life. Because azote will neither support animal life nor combustion. A gas which is unfit for respiration. It is one of the component parts of the atmosphere. It is also called nitrogen. Bile. A yellow, greenish, viscid, bitter, nauseous fluid, secreted by the liver, to aid in the process of digestion. The gall. Bullous. Latin. A mass, lump, or mouthful, a ball. Botany. From the Greek, botane, a plant. The natural history of plants. Brachial. From the Latin, brachium, an arm. Belonging or relating to the arm. Branchially. Latin. It is derived from the Greek, branchos, the throat. The gills of fishes. They are the respiratory organs of fishes, and are very different from lungs both in their form and structure. Bronchi. From the Greek, bronchos, the throat. The two branches of the windpipe, which convey air to the lungs. Calcus. Latin. Genitive of calx, the heel. Camera. Latin. A chamber. Canine. From the Latin, canis, a dog. The name of certain teeth. Capillary. From the Latin, capillus, hair. Hair-like, small. The capillary vessels are the extremely minute terminations of the arteries and commencing branches of the veins. Capsules, dental. Membranous pouches in which the teeth are formed. Cardia. From the Greek, cardia, the heart. The left opening of the stomach where the esophagus enters it. Carotid. The great arteries of the neck which convey blood to the head are so called. Carpus. From the Greek, karpos, the wrist. The part between the forearm and hand. Cartilage, Gristle. A solid part of the animal body of medium consistence between bone and ligament. Caudal. From the Latin cauda, a tail. Belonging or relating to the tail. Cava. Latin. Hollow. Vena cava, the hollow or deep-seated vein. A name given to the two great veins of the body, which meet at the right auricle of the heart. Cerebellum. The diminutive of cerebrum, the little brain. The inferior portion of the brain contained in the cranium. Cerebrospinal. Belonging or relating to both the cerebrum and spine. Cerebrum, the brain. The term is sometimes applied to the whole contents of the cranium, at others to the upper portion, the posterior and inferior being called cerebellum. Cervical. From the Latin cervix, the neck. Belonging or relating to the neck. Choroid. From the Greek chorion, the skin, and eidos, resemblance. The name of several vascular membranes. A thin membrane of a very dark color which lines the sclerotica internally. Choroides, choroid. Chyle. From the Greek choulos, nutritious juice. A nutritive fluid of a whitish appearance, which is extracted from food by the action of the digestive organs. Chyle, Latin. Of chyle. Chylification. From the Latin chylus, chylic, and facere, to make. The formation of chyle by the digestive processes. Chyme. From the Greek chumos, juice. A kind of grayish pulp formed from the food after it has been for some time in the stomach. Chymification. From the Greek chumus, juice, and the Latin facere, to make. The formation of chyme. Cilia, Latin. The eyelashes. Clavicle. From the Latin clavus, a key. The collar bone. Coccygean. Relating to the coccyx, which is an assemblage of small bones appended to the sacrum. If prolonged, it would constitute a tail. Cochlea, Latin. A snail shell. The name of one of the three cavities which form the labyrinth of the ear. Celiac. The name of one of the arteries of the abdomen. Concha. The hollow part of the cartilage of the external ear. Condyle. From the Greek condylus, a knot, an eminence, a bump. A small round eminence of bone entering into the composition of an articulation. Conjunctiva. Latin. Formed from con, with, and jungere, to join. The mucous membrane which covers the anterior surface of the ball of the eye, and unites it to the lids. Corium. The skin. Cornea. One of the coats of the eye, so called because it has some resemblance to horn. It forms about 1/5 of the anterior part of the eye. Cotyloid. From the Greek katule, a drinking cup, and eidos, resemblance. The name of a hemispherical cavity in a bone of the pelvis, which receives the head of the thigh bone, forming the hip joint. It is also called the acetabulum. Cranium. From the Greek kranon, head. The skull. Crustacea. From the Latin crusta, a crust. A class of animals whose bodies are enclosed in a covering like the crab. Cubital. Relating to the cubitus. Cubitus, Latin. One of the bones of the forearm, which is also called ulna. End of Glossary A through C.